Hi everyone, welcome back to JP WHU TV. It's nice to see you. I hope you're keeping well and enjoying the rest of your week here, guys. This is bonus videos going up today and tomorrow before the Man United preview goes up on Thursday. While I was doing the notes for it, the little voice in the back of my head was reminding me of what I said at the start of the Spurs preview last week, where I said that I was sweating like David Sullivan trying to explain our financial position because he's getting confused with a couple of things. I mean, he's an old man, you know. So what I thought I would do is, as you guys know, I've been doing I'm doing an assessment, I should say, or the review of the accounts over the last 5 years now. But what I've actually done is, once I did the Man United notes, I've gone actually back all the way back to the 2008-2009 season, the season before the two Davids took over with Sullivan with Brady in tow. Not going to go into, guys, I'm not going to go into 15 years worth of details. It's just not happening, but I'm summarizing everything. But basically, guys, this is the reason why I feel Sullivan and Brady are running the club into the ground, quite frankly. But as always, guys, this video is sponsored by the channel sponsor, 3retro.com. Please click the link in the description below that will take you directly through to the West Ham section of their website, where you can purchase some really nice retro gear. And as you can see from the icon that's up here, there's also some retro, also some claret and blue track jackets, polo shirts, sweatshirts and t-shirts made by Admiral and Umbro, so go check those out as well. And any purchases you make through the link in the description below, the commission that the channel would normally be getting, as I always say, I'll be sending on to the charity Iron Supporting Food Banks. They're based in the Newham area, and they're helping those in the Newham area and the Essex County and further afield for that matter, as they're currently supporting close to, if not over 90 separate food banks by the time of this recording. So guys, go grab yourself a really nice retro shirt. You'll be saving yourself a few quid in comparison to the club shop, and you'll be helping those less fortunate than you and I. But if you want to make a donation directly to the charity, if you don't want to make an affiliate link purchase, that's perfectly fine as well. You're more than welcome to do so. There is their Just Give and Fund link in the description below. So £1, £2, £5, guys, whatever you can afford. Believe me, every penny helps. So yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to summarize where we finished in the table, under what manager per season, and what the club profit or loss, once everything was accounted for, all the ins and the all the profit and the debts and all the rest of it, that was all accustomed to. Right, so let's start off with it. With the 2008-9 season, we finished 9th under Zola, and that season there was a loss of £104.8 million. Now, over the 9-10 season, there's £124.7 million loss, a loss increase of £19.9 million. We finished 17th under that under Zola at the end of that season. But during that season, in January 2010, David Gold and David Sullivan increased their shares in the club to 50%, purchasing for £50 million. And so therefore starting to become majority owners. They did a little bit longer afterwards, which we'll talk about. But in the 2010-2011 relegation season, there was a £142.4 million loss, an increase of loss of £17.7 million. As we all remember, we got absolutely fucking humiliated and we finished 20th in that table under Avram Grant. Now, GSB increased their shares just after the end of that season to 60% in that May, taking control of the club with an extra £8 million for that additional 10%. £4 million going to CB Holding, which is owned by the Icelandic club, and £4 million, Icelandic owners, I should say, and £4 million going towards the club debt. And obviously, you know, we'll talk about that at another time. But then in August of 2010, they increased their shares to 30.6% as well for that. Sorry, an increase of 30.6%, I should say. Now, in the 11-12 season, as we know, promotion via the playoffs with Sam Allardyce finished up with a loss of £161.1 million, which is an increased loss of £24.7 million. And as we know, as I just mentioned, we finished 3rd under Allardyce and got through the playoffs. And poor boy, what playoffs they were. Unbelievable. Now, our first season back in the Premier League in 12-13 season was a loss of £209.1 million. That's a loss of increase of £42 million, and we finished 10th under Allardyce that season. Now, also in July of the coming season, the 12-13 season, the club cleared the debts of £70 million to move to the London Stadium in order for that to happen, which everybody forgets wasn't actually set up by Sullivan and Brady. The Icelandics started that move. And because as we remember from that press conference that David Sullivan did, he said, we're going to continue to do all the work in order to get the move to the London Stadium. David Sullivan criticised the owners for having a debt balancing system of borrowing season ticket money 2 seasons ahead. It'd be interesting to see how many seasons ahead we're trying to borrow money for now, the way that things are going. But heading into the 13-14 season, as I say, that's when all the debts were supposed to be paid off. And at the end of that season, we had a £198.8 million loss, but a profit within that period of £10.3 million, finishing 13th under Allardyce. Now, of the 14-15 season, we had a £195.8 million loss, but still had a profit in comparison to the previous season of £3 million, where we finished 12th under Allardyce. And of course, we know that Slaven Bilic came in as a manager for the 15-16 season, and at the end of that season, that heartbreaking season, the club's debts were showing £200.7 million loss, an increase of loss of £4.9 million over the previous season. But as we remember, under Bilic, we finished 7th. We came this close to getting into the Europa League, but fluffed it up right at the last knockings at Stoke away. Now, of the 16-17 season, when we moved into the London Stadium, we had a profit and loss report of the final of that year of £157.6 million loss, but a profit of £43.1 million in comparison to the previous season, where we finished 11th under Bilic. Now, for the 17-18 season, at the end of that season, £140.08 million loss, but again a profit of increase of £17.6 million in comparison to the season before. As we remember, we started off that season with Bilic and we ended up with Moyes, and we finished 13th in that season. Now, the 18-19 season, the club's debts were showing up £167.3 million loss, which is an increased loss of £27.23 million, finishing 10th under Pellegrini. Right, this is the first of 3 seasons where we are very close to, if not exceeding, the profit sustainability rules, which I'll go into in more detail tomorrow. But as I say, this is the first of it. In the 19-20 season, at the end of that season, we had a loss of £232.6 million, so an increase of loss of £65.3 million, finishing under Pellegrini stroke Moyes for the second time, 16th. And again, that's a season where we're struggling in terms of PSR rules. And the 2021 season, £259.1 million loss at the end of that season, an increase of loss of £26.5 million, but we finished 6th under David Moyes. So basically, to sum up really, really quickly, with the PSR rules, we can't lose, no club can lose more than £105 million in any 3-year cycle. And this is those 3 years we did. But we got a let off for it by the looks of it, because everybody was affected by COVID. That's why we were on the warning list for a good few seasons afterwards. Now, the 21-22 season, the records showed a loss of £248.6 million, but a £10.5 million profit in comparison to the previous season, where we finished 7th. In comparison to this season, at the end of the 21-22 season, we finished 7th under David Moyes. And the 22-23 season, the record showed £265.7 million loss, which is an increase of loss of £22.9 million, where we finished 14th, but we won the Conference League. But that money under Moyes, that money doesn't actually go in because that campaign finished after the season closed. So the actual reports, as I mentioned with the accounts for last season, I mentioned that's why it is what it is. Now as I say, for the 23-24 season, our record showed a loss of £208.5 million, but a £57.2 million profit, which, as I say, included including them winning the Conference League and the Rice money, and we finished 9th under David Moyes. So in total, guys, under their stewardship let's give them the benefit of the doubt for 14 years, from 2009 to 2014, right? Sorry, 2025, I should 2024. We've had an operational loss under David Sullivan and Karen Brady of 109.43 million pounds, which is close to, if almost not, the amount of loss we were looking at when they took over in the first place. They have almost doubled the club's debt in the last 14 years. And obviously we won't know until the season is finished and well into November, December, possibly even January, when the records are all the auditing is done and the records are brought out the next day, or the next few days after that, for this season. But as it stands at the moment, guys, yeah, this is the reason why David Sullivan needs to put the club on the market as soon as possible. You know, we are very, very close to getting back to £250 million in debt once again. And as a result of it, this is the reason why David Sullivan wants a stupid amount of money for the club. Because not only does he want to make a profit of it, of course he would, he's a businessman, but he wants to make sure that the club is sold for a profit over the loss that is already in there. That's why he's wanting like 700 or 800 million or whatever, what the stupid amount is, because it's going to take close to £250 million to pretty much close that deal off, and that's get the club to zero debt before selling the club on top of that. So yeah, I genuinely think this is the reason why. This isn't the reason. These are the facts. This is what the accounts are showing. If you don't believe me, by all means, I'll put the link in the description to the page on the West Ham website, where you can go and have a look at every single account that's happened since the 2009-2010 season. This is where all the data's come from. I've been saying it for a long time. We are screwed, but at the same point, it's mostly down to the fact that how that money's been spent, which has been screwing us. And as I say, we'll go into that at another time, because I'm sick and tired of mentioning it every single time. But these are the facts. These are what the records are showing. Yes, there's increased revenue, but increased revenue means increased spending. And as a result of this, guys, over the 15 years that they've been in charge of the club, so far, we've only made a profit for about 5 years out of that period of time. That's the reason why David Sullivan needs to sell up as soon as possible and give it to somebody who's got better due diligence than he does. But at the same point, I do think it's going to be the West Ham curse. But as always, guys, put your comments in the comments section below. Let me know what you're thinking on this. As I say, tomorrow there will be a video going up going into a bit more detail about the PSR and the SCR rules and how the spending goes on it, and etc, etc. So I'm hoping this is going to be able to clarify everything for everybody over the next few days, and then obviously normal service will be resumed on Thursday for the preview for Man United. But guys, over the last 4 weeks, there's been a slight increase in those that have not been subscribed to the channel. 52.4% of you guys are not subscribed to the channel. So if you are enjoying this content, then by all means, please do share this video with everybody that you feel isn't aware of the channel, for that matter. Please do like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you very, very soon. Well, I'll see you tomorrow, basically, or very, very soon, depending on what order you're going to be watching these videos, to go into a bit more detail as to why David Sullivan's confusing everybody, including himself. All the best now. Take care.